The Ravenscroft Hotel. Beware, for once you step inside, you might never escape the horrors that await. Welcome to Myth or Reality. Today, we have a fascinating tale that will leave you questioning everything. At the end, you'll be asked whether you believe this story or not. Yes, really. You'll need to decide if you think the following is just a myth we've written ourselves or if it's actually based on reality. You decide. Nestled deep in the Colorado Rockies, in a secluded valley surrounded by thick pine forests and towering peaks, lies the Ravenscroft Hotel. Built in the late 1800s during the height of the Silver Rush, the hotel was originally intended to be a lavish retreat for wealthy miners and railroad magnates. However, its dark and twisted history has left it abandoned, shrouded in mystery, and haunted by the spirits of those who never left. Edward Ravenscroft, a wealthy but eccentric industrialist who had made his fortune in railroads and mining, envisioned Ravenscroft as a grand Victorian-style hotel that would stand as a monument to his success, attracting society's elite to its remote location. Construction began in 1886, and from the start, strange occurrences were reported. Workers spoke of odd noises echoing through the half-finished halls, tools vanishing only to reappear in unexpected places, and the constant feeling of being watched. The death of a young foreman, crushed by a falling beam under mysterious circumstances, truly cast a shadow over the hotel. Undeterred, Edward Ravenscroft pushed forward, and in 1890, the Ravenscroft Hotel opened its doors. It was a masterpiece of Victorian architecture, complete with intricately carved woodwork, plush velvet furnishings, and crystal chandeliers that cast a warm, inviting glow over the grand lobby. For a time, the hotel thrived, hosting extravagant parties and drawing guests from across the country. But beneath the surface, something was very wrong. The first sign of trouble came in the winter of 1893, when a brutal snowstorm trapped a group of guests at the hotel for nearly 2 weeks. During that time, a young woman named Eliza Bennett vanished without a trace. Despite extensive searches, no sign of her was ever found. Staff whispered that she had been seen wandering the halls late at night, her eyes wide with fear, claiming she heard voices calling her name. Some said she had been lured into the mountains by something unseen, while others believed she had taken her own life, driven mad by whatever haunted the hotel. After Eliza's disappearance, guests began to report strange phenomena, footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors slamming shut on their own, and a cold, oppressive presence that seemed to follow them. Several guests claimed to have seen a woman in white roaming the halls at night, her face pale and expressionless, her eyes hollow and dark. The staff, too, was affected by the hotel's eerie influence. Many quit suddenly, refusing to speak of their experiences, while others simply vanished. By the turn of the century, Ravenscroft's reputation as a haunted hotel had spread widely. Business dwindled, and the once grand hotel fell into disrepair. Edward Ravenscroft became increasingly reclusive, rarely leaving his top-floor suite. In 1905, he was found dead in his bed, his face twisted in terror. The official cause of death was a heart attack, but those who knew him believed he had been driven mad by the dark force inhabiting his creation. After Edward's death, the hotel was abandoned. For decades, it sat empty, a decaying monument to a forgotten era. Locals avoided it, telling tales of strange lights in the windows and ghostly figures wandering the grounds. Urban explorers and ghost hunters who ventured inside often emerged shaken, recounting encounters with shadowy apparitions, disembodied voices, and sudden bone-chilling cold. One such story comes from the summer of 1972, when a group of college students decided to spend the night at Ravenscroft on a dare. Armed with flashlights, sleeping bags, and whiskey, they entered the hotel, eager to prove their bravery. The night started with jokes, spooky stories, and nervous laughter. But as hours passed, the atmosphere changed. One student, Jason, claimed he saw a figure standing at the end of the hallway, outside their makeshift campsite in the grand ballroom. The figure was tall and gaunt, dressed in an old-fashioned black suit, its eyes glowing faintly in the dark. The others dismissed it as a trick of the light, but Jason was adamant. As the night wore on, the group began to hear strange noises, whispers echoing through the halls, the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor above them, and, most unsettling of all, the soft, mournful cry of a woman. By midnight, the temperature in the ballroom had dropped sharply, and a thick fog seemed to seep in through the walls, swirling around their feet. The group huddled together, their bravado quickly fading as the feeling of being watched grew unbearable. Suddenly, the grand chandelier above them began to sway, its crystals tinkling softly like distant wind chimes. The air grew heavy with the scent of roses, sweet, cloying, and unmistakable. Then, from the darkness, came a voice, soft, female, and filled with sorrow. "Why have you come here? You must leave!" Panic set in. The students grabbed their belongings and fled the hotel, not stopping until they were miles away. When they finally reached safety, they realized that Jason was missing. Despite extensive searches by the authorities, no trace of him was ever found. His disappearance was the latest in a long line of unsolved mysteries tied to the Ravenscroft Hotel. Over the years, numerous attempts were made to renovate and reopen the hotel, but each one ended in failure. Workers reported tools going missing, strange accidents, and an overwhelming sense of dread that drove them to quit. Investors pulled out, and the hotel remained untouched, its windows boarded up, its halls silent and empty. Today, the Ravenscroft Hotel stands as a crumbling relic of a bygone era, its once grand facade now weathered and worn. The surrounding forest has begun to reclaim the land, with vines creeping up the walls and trees growing through the cracked pavement of the courtyard. Despite its dilapidated state, the hotel continues to draw the curious and the brave, each seeking to uncover the secrets that lie within its haunted halls. Locals say that on quiet nights you can still see lights flickering in the windows, and if you listen closely, you might hear the distant sound of a piano playing a mournful tune. Some believe that Edward Ravenscroft himself still roams the halls, tormented by the spirits he unwittingly trapped within the walls of his hotel. Others claim that the woman in white, perhaps Eliza Bennet, still searches for something, or someone, lost to the mists of time. The Ravenscroft Hotel remains an enigma, a place where the past and present seem to blur, where the line between the living and the dead is frighteningly thin. Those who visit often leave with a sense of unease, as if the hotel has left a mark on them, a shadow that lingers long after they have returned to the safety of the outside world. And so, the Ravenscroft Hotel sits, waiting for the next group of thrill-seekers, the next curious soul to cross its threshold, to be drawn into the web of mystery and terror that has ensnared so many before. But be warned, for once you enter the Ravenscroft Hotel, you may never truly leave. So, what do you think? Could this incredible story be true, or is it all just a fabrication? Do you believe it's a myth or reality? Will you be right or wrong? Well, the moment you've been waiting for, the story of the haunted hotel of Ravenscroft, is a myth and totally untrue.